Filming from Gen Con 2014, I'm here with Michael from 8 Summit Games, and he has agreed to tell us a little bit about a new game by Richard Lonius. You see a lot of boxes for that game there. The game is called Run, Fight, or Die. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, basically what Run, Fight, or Die is, imagine having a first-person zombie shooter game on the tabletop. What you're going to have is you're going to have a player board. Each of the player boards are going to be identical, but you're going to have a unique character that you attach to the bottom of the board. For instance, this one's a Sweet Prom Girl. What will happen with her unique ability is she likes to relive her experience at the prom. So when she's pulling an event card, she'll have a chance to pull 2 of them, discard 1, which can be a very good thing because some of these events, as is typical in a zombie experience, are not particularly good. So, in essence, what you have is you'll start. This is the starting position with the zombies. It's basically you'll start off rolling. So you roll your handful of dice. This is the event die. It's sometimes it's hard to show up on video, but in real life it's easy to tell the difference. It's great.
This looks like a syringe.
Yeah, that would be a syringe. You have a player
running dude. Gun and running dude, and what is
that's
this?
a zombie.
Oh yeah, I can't quite tell how you look at this guy.
So basically what you're going to do when you roll, the first thing you'll do is take care of the event die. So in this case it would be the syringe. This comes with the game. In that case, it would be the nurse. You can either heal 1 wound or back 2 zombies from zone 1 to zone 2. So basically, like when you're down here, when you're starting the game, you've got 2 up front. You immediately can back those back. Now, what's going to happen is it's a Yahtzee type of rolling mechanic. So you have 2 re-rolls after your initial roll. These are the tactics and the actions you're going to use against your zombies. So, for instance, you look at the board here. If you roll a bat, a bat can do 2 damage in zone 1. Basically, you can swing and take these 2 out. A gun, it's 1 bullet per zombie, so you can take out a zombie in any of the 3 zones. The run makes it so you can back a zombie back, a zone. Including from zone 3, you can back him completely off the board.
And so you don't have to worry about them anymore?
Exactly. However, after you go through the first thing, say we took out these, we'll just pretend that this is what's left on your board. After you're done taking your actions, again, you can re-roll these 2 more times, decide what you want. Now, if you roll a zombie, that gets locked. So basically it's going to come over here. That's going to add to the number of zombies that come on your board at the end of the turn. So, pretend we've gone through all of our actions. We've eliminated as many zombies as we can. Then you move to the point where the zombies come upon you. So they're all going to move up 1 zone. And then you add zombies. Your standard at the beginning, or at the end of the turn is, you'll add 3 zombies to zone 3. And then you'll add 1 for every zombie you roll. Now what's going to happen, very quickly, you're going to end up with something like
a horde.
Like this. And one of the great things about this game is that you'll have 1,000 zombies on you. You think there's no way you can survive, and you'll roll your dice in a way that will completely change the game. Now the way you win the game is by getting victory points. The main way you get victory points is by getting followers. Now if you notice here, this one has 1 victory point, and this is a benefit that it gives you for the remainder of the game. What I think is a great mechanic, the ones with low victory points have tremendous benefits. Now the ones that have high victory points
are not that good in that department.
One of my favorite ones is one called the Old Maid. She's very slow and she keeps trying to feed you hard candies. So basically what happens with her, she's worth I think 5 victory points. But if in your actions you don't roll a die that has the run on it, she gets bitten by a zombie and she turns into a zombie in your zone 1. So, and then, each of these cards, the followers and even the unique characters, in fact with these, they have great backstories on them. and there's a lot of humor in the game.
Yeah, I can tell that there is a tongue-in-cheekness around the art and the event and the other components.
Very much so. You'll be pulling locations that usually will help you. Every now and then they won't. For instance, one of these is a dead end. I've never seen a zombie scenario that the dead end is a good thing.
Yeah.
So these will be coming out to each of the players. Now there's interaction in the game, and that there are certain cards that make it so you can move zombies from your board to somebody else's. You can trade followers with them. You can take them.
Yeah.
Now,
so this is a competitive game, right? In its standard form.
At heart, in its base game, it's a competitive game. One of the expansions is a co-op expansion. Richard Launius makes very good co-op games. Arkham Horde, Defenders of the Realm.
We know that.
Yeah. So it's not a tacked-on co-op. It's a very robust system. Really adds to the game. Now the way you win the game, it's not a player elimination game, which is great. One of the ways that triggers the end of the game is if one player dies, that ends the game. At that point, you add up the victory points. There's another one of the locations cards is called City Limit. And basically, it scales with the number of players. If the players have a certain number of followers or more, then it triggers the end of the game. You add up your victory points. Now, there's this pretty little guy here, the mutant zombie. He can come on.
Cutie.
Exactly. He can come in the game. Again, this scales with the number of players. He'll come with a certain number of hit points. The thing with him is when he comes, he will go in front of each player until he's dead. So when you're attacking, you have a choice between going after these and going after him with a gun. If you go after him, you'll take one. You hit him, you'll take one of his hit points, which gives you a victory point.
3 times.
Now, one of the ending game scenarios is if, with all the players, if they've gotten 20 of those tokens, then that ends the game. Another way of ending the game is if you have 5 followers, then you can declare the last round. Basically what that does, you need to go all the way around, but you get one more turn. What's important about that is from the time you declare the end of the game, thinking that you're going to win, other players can do things to you. So now you have to survive your last turn. So you may be going into that thinking everything's great, but by the time all your best friends are done with you, it's not so pretty.
Got it.
So, basically that's the basic rules of the game. There's also some expansions. There's a zombie horde expansion. Basically what it does, and we're just using these as generic zombies, but what it does, it splits out the different kinds of zombies. It adds a crawler. The crawler's neat because with the advanced rules in that, you can't shoot him at a distance. He's too small of a target. So he'll sneak up on you. The only place you can hit him is in zone 1. And also every now and then he'll just appear for you in zone 1. You have the runner. He moves 2 zones every time you have a turn. And then you have the brute, which is this one right here that requires 2 hits to kill. So, then you've also got, this is at Horde, basically a 1 to 4 player game. There's also an expansion for 5 or 6 players. If you're like me, you don't necessarily have 6 friends, it's still worth getting because it gives you some more characters.
Yeah, some more options.
With each one being unique, it adds some variety to the game.
I'm filming from Gen Con 2014 in one of the main gaming halls. It's 1:20 a.m. This evening I played an early game of Thunder Alley soon after dinner, and then I've been playing Run, Fight or Die non-stop. I played it with 2 players and then with 4 players. And this is definitely an addictive game, a game that once you start playing it, you fall into the, let's play another one, state of mind, and it's very hard to break the chain. It's just because everybody else around me was exhausted that I couldn't play with other people yet, and then I was tempted, well, maybe we can play solitaire because there is that option. I thought maybe before I pass out from exhaustion I can share some ideas and opinions about this game with you. What an amazingly fun game. This game is incredibly addictive. It's so fast. It took us a while actually to get started, to get the pace right, because initially we were checking the rulebook all the time, learning what the combinations of icons do, learning what the loot cards do, what the effects do. I have to say there are a couple of points in the rulebook which are not entirely clear, definitely not crystal clear, and so also we had to do a little bit of debating and interpreting there to figure out some gray areas. But once we got that clarified, the game was really fast, it moved faster on the table. The length came very greatly because you may have combinations of events that will lead a player to die very early in the game. Then you have a 10-minute play in which the surviving player is the winner. Actually, if you have a two-player game, it's most likely the two-player game will end because one of the players dies and you will not even go to count victory points. But if don't count on that, because then if the other player just survives and so do you, then it is 2 victory points. With 3 or 4 players, things change, because even if the game ends because of the death of one of the characters, you still count victory points and you have to keep an eye on what the other players are doing. So there is a sort of indirect interaction, I would say mutual surveillance, and then just so many chains of events and combinations of resources and ways in which you can use your dice and the cards and the loot cards and the locations and all the effects of the followers in so many devious ways, in so many challenging ways. The game swings back and forth, but huge, immense swings of fortune to the point that a game is decided by a single die roll. Those won't happen very often. We played this game for hours, and there was maybe a time in which there was a game that could have been decided by a single die roll, and it was a very unlikely die roll, so it was unlikely that that actually would have been the defining event. Run, Fight or Die. It's a surprisingly thematic game with really fun art, very tongue-in-cheek, a humorous tone in a certain way, reminiscent of Last Night on Earth, with that attempt of capturing a B-movie feel. At the same time, it is exciting, it tells a story. There are moments where you're going to be overrun by hordes of zombies and you think that that's it, and yet somehow something miraculous happens and you're able to turn things around. Full of surprises, full of interesting, exciting moments. The interaction is not direct, but there's a lot of laughing, commenting, because the story is so crazy and it takes such crazy twists that it's just entertaining to see what other players are doing. There is a cheerful atmosphere where players are joking, chatting. I play with people that I met today, and by the end we're all friends, even though we had tried to send zombies against one another. But the situation very often was so ridiculous that we were laughing at it, and it was hard to take it seriously. It was hard to take offense from the absurdly mean things that the players were doing to you. Run, Fight or Die. This is a super fun game. I enjoyed it for hours. I think that this is a game that I definitely will play in the future. Tomorrow, as soon as the Vendors Hall of Gen Con opens, I'll go and buy every existing expansion. I'll pre-order everything that is related to this game because I like it. I want to see how where the system goes, how the system expands. It's from a very trusted designer, Richard Lonius. He has designed such massive games in the past, such as the epic Arkham Horror, that was really curious to see what he would be able to do in a small game that can play in half an hour, that has a very snappy pace, and I had to say he excelled. He was able to put together a very solid product, even in this frame, which is so different from the frame or the type of frames for which I usually know him. Run, Fight or Die, a fun game, definitely recommended for fans of zombie games, but just for fans of fun, quick games.